Hi folks, I just want to take you through just a bit of the process we're going through, just so you can see how it's operating, and you can see the data going in there into SASAMS, and I'll just briefly run you through the files that I'm going to send you. So, all right. So what we've done is we've got sort of a bit of a production line going. So Kyle and Caroline are doing the admin side of the import, which I showed you in the previous video. Was something like where you go and click the button in global settings. I'll show you that now. So they'll do the admin side of the export, and they'll send me a couple of files. All right, so I get a data file from them, and I get the SAMS data file from them. So what I do is I go and take the front office data file and I stick it into the normal location my data is found. Okay, so hypothetically, if you were doing this, well, you wouldn't be putting a data file anywhere because it's there already, but it would be your server path. And I take this SAMS data and I stick it into the location which I know is here. I always create a data file called SAMS. Doesn't matter, SAMS data. It doesn't matter what school it is. Which also helps because I do have tables in FrontOFFICE which are pointing straight at that SAMS data file, and I'll show you why when I do the academic side of the export. But just to show you, so what they would have done on their side, log in. By the way, folks, we're up to sort of update 47, 8, and some more coming, and I'll discuss those in an email tonight. But yeah, so they would have gone here to Lyrics Extra, popped the file path in there, and done the export to SASAMS, and that would have been the admin side of it. So in this case, that's already been done. So I can, in fact, log into SASAMS. And that's the one that shows. Pop the password in. Wait, what was it? Okay. And if I went to general school information, for instance, school details, as you've seen before the data would be in here. Then if you were to go to, let's say, learner parent information, click on the learner information, you would see file data in here. So if I double clicked on one of these names, for instance, you can see there's no subjects or educators, there's basically no academic information in here. Or in fact, if I went to the crash course in SASAMS that we've been doing here, learning things, and as I've said before, without any specifications provided by the department, which is funny. They wanted submitted in the SAMS format, but they won't submit the the specifications for the data. So we've done what we've had to do, basically, in terms of watching what happens in the back end when these things are done. And we're learning more and more as we go, folks, as well. So bear with us. This is the first time we've done it. You know, we've been ironing out a couple of niggles even today, some of which I'll outline in an email later. And yeah, you know, perhaps there'll be a comeback here or there, but as I say, as you're going to see now, the bulk of it's done. The framework's in place. If there has to be a few adjustments here and there, then you know we can pop updates out, bang, and they can be done. As I say, we're up to update 46, 47 already, I think. So you can see that the system can be kept up to date very quickly. And as I say, there'll be a couple of new fields that will be added. But for instance, if I go to create educator groups, you can see that there's nothing in there, or if indeed I went to assign subjects to a learner, you can see that there's no academic information in there. So what I then do is, now this part of it, Kyle and I haven't automated yet, or should I say Kyle hasn't automated yet, because he'll be doing it, or at least he'll be teaching me how to write the code in for that, because it's going to follow obviously similar lines to the export modules that he's written for the admin side of things. But what I've done in the meantime is created the record sets, and as I say, I've linked the front office front end directly to the SAMS back end, and I can therefore, as I say, I've created the exact columns, and I'll show you now. I can therefore transport the data. So again, if I go to, this is a SAMS table, if I go to that, you can see there's no data in there. So what I'm doing, as I say, just sort of roughly manually at the moment, is so the first one I'm going to do, and there is a particular order that they must be done, is to put what they call educator groups in. So I open my record set where I know the information is being pulled, both from front office and the admin side of SAMS, so that the fields match, and I open the educator groups table, and basically I need the grade, educator ID, the group name, which is called FO set in this, but none of this is really for you to worry about really, and the subject ID. So I copy that, paste it into those 4 columns, those 4 fields, and there's the educator groups data in there. That essentially is your classes. The way it works out, it ends up basically being your classes. And then I have to take the SAMS educator subjects taught. They've got 2 tables, and it's, you know, this is why it was really a masterstroke on the side of my dad to make front office class centric, because you can actually revolve anything around classes. I mean, you can even create a break class and an assembly class. I know schools that do, in terms of the way it times up with the timetable and everything. You know, break class, populate whole school, or even populate whole school minus break detentions. I mean, this is the beauty of it. You can link it to anything. Everything revolves around a class. A school is a set of classes. They're subjects, yes, they're subjects, but they're subjects that are taught in different groups with different teachers. And actually, if you look at SAMS carefully, in a strange way, I'm not going to dive into the details now, but if I went into the relationships, I could show you that in a way it's almost subject centric, which is, anyway, that's not really important. So now I'm going to, but what it does do is, for instance, you now have a table called SAMS educator subjects taught. So it means that you're then reallocating subjects in some senses in the front end, and I have to learn more about it, and then, you know, assigning teaching years and teacher training. Whereas if you do it in classes, you'll see I'm using the exact same record set in front office to populate another table there, but you only need 1 in front office. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the fields, and I just had to hard code the EMIS number in here for now. I just want to make sure that that was the correct one. Okay. So now I want to just put these things in that exact column order. So we've got data year, we've got EMIS number, we've got subject ID, we've got subject code, which ends up being Lyrit's code, we've got grade. And folks, this is, you know, another thing I keep saying is that if you, and I've come to believe more and more as I've been diving into the back end, if you follow the principles of Lyrit's, you pretty much can't go wrong with SAMS. You remember, at the end of the day, Lyrit's was a tracking system based on the fact, built around SAMS in a sense, because SAMS is supposedly the data collection point. So the codes are the same and things like that. Right, so if we go grade, and then I think that's all. Right, so we grab, oh, we need educator ID to be right at the front, sorry. So we grab educator ID all the way up to grade. And I happen to know that these are the columns that have to be populated. The rest of the columns populate by default values, which you can see by those zeros that are sitting in those fields already. Incidentally, teaching years and training years would be populated. I could bring it into the front office table because it's by class. You can be populated in set classes. A lot of you, for the sake of Lyrit's submission, it's never been mandatory, but it's only compulsory to have a value in there. So we were advised by the Lyrit support desk, for example, to set that default to 0, so that at least the files don't fail, they're accepted. If the department then decides later down the line it's compulsory for you to capture teaching years and training years, then obviously they have to go and update those tables, but that information can be pulled through. Anyway, for now it's defaulting to 0, or if some of you have pulled it through, I'll spot that and put it in anyway. If some of you have captured it anyway. Okay, so those are now populated in there, and it's 2 simple transfers and a lot of me talking, so actually could have happened much faster. Now we go back to SASAMS, and we can go and have a look here at, for instance, learner information, and if I double click on a learner, I beg your pardon, I haven't done the learner table. Oops, no problem, not a train smash at all. There's the learner one from front office. Alright, some of these are just ghost records that are left in the system that must be cleared, but I can just filter them out. Okay, and the learner subjects table in SASAMS, and these tables are already matched up. We've got subject ID, grade, educator group, level, data language type. I go copy, paste that all the way up to language type, and say yes. And now if we go to SASAMS, let's just go back to the front so it refreshes itself. And you can see that learner now has subjects and an educator. And indeed I can go to the curriculum related data, educator subject groups, and you will see that it's incidentally I made this group is a thing called group name, which in SASAMS you can pretty much make up per class. It's a text field, and it doesn't give you a specification of what you must capture. So you would call it something like, you know, your grade and class name and language, much like you do in set classes. So you've got Afrikaans first language 7A. So it's a unique identifier in a sense. So all I did is I made front office transfer the class ID, because that is, if you were ever to look for information between the two systems, you quite easily say, okay, that's ID of 573, and then go to front office and click set classes and do a search on 573, and there you go, there would be your class. You can have a look at the learners and even compare it to SAMS if you like. So you can, if we go to so now if you were to actually click on one of these classes and click edit group, alright, you can actually see the learners that are in that class. Okay, Bangspoorter, Ferreira, etc, etc. Bangspoorter, Ferreira, you can see in front office it matches. Okay, so then you say done, and we can even go and have a look at assign subjects to individual learners, for instance. And again, if I click on a class, any class here, 3M, choose a learner, and you will see the languages listed at the bottom. Pretty handy. So you can see the academic information filtering through into SAMS from the export. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to, now based on this circular that I have here, I'm printing the Lyrics deployment report, the learners according to race in Gen 3.5.6.1. The progress report is covered by the stats reports, you know, the word templates that the department has issued. I'm, to be honest, not entirely sure about printing that from SASAMS, but in any event, we are printing the EMIS HR 2.9, I'll show you now, and then putting the CD onto SASAMS database. So if I go to deployment report, it'll moan about Anna Marks, no worries. And what I'm doing is, so before you do this, you have to do a thing called deploy database, which is this button here. So I click deploy database. It says this will create a new database to be deployed. This essentially, if you were to do lyrics through SASAMS, this is what you would do. Now, you guys are still submitting lyrics through FrontOFFICE, so in a sense, this report isn't really relevant, but it's useful to print anyway in terms of the principal signing off on the data. So anyway, I say yes. So, and the other thing is that, again, folks, you know, like, as I say, we are in a sense flying blind in some ways, and we are going to learn as we go along, and people submit to the department and maybe get a little niggle here or there or whatever, but basically, in a sense, that it ends up that you land up with almost two data files. I guess it looks to me as if it goes, well, I know for a fact, because you can see here, it tells you to go and look and see export data, lyrics data. So I've just clicked deploy database, and you can see it's gone and dated and created a file. And this thing is SAMS data, which is the data we're working with. Now, I know the actual location of the SAMS data over here. So what I'm doing, it looks like a straight copy, but what I'm doing, just in case, is I'm sending you both. So I have sent off for a few schools already. They haven't submitted yet, I don't think, but I've sent them a little package. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be sending each school a little package. And in it, for instance, with this school, you'll see you've got, you'll have the 3 reports that I'll print out and 2 data files. One will be in a folder. This is the deployed one. And I think maybe when you deploy it, it ticks off a box somewhere and it says this is deployed, and so when they get it, they want to use specifically that one that they plug into their end. But my educated guess here is that it's basically just a straight copy of the SAMS data file. As I say, I've sent you both, so put them both on the CD. Put one on the CD straight like this, and put the folder on the CD so that one's in the CD, because they're both named SAM data. So if you put them on, they'll conflict. And you can rename this one if you want, but you may as well just put it in on the folder and explain to them and ask them which one they want. These are the printouts which I'll show you now. So, alright, in my case, I don't actually print a thing. I print it to OneNote. Alright, so it comes to OneNote, and then I say file, export, PDF, and I export it to, in this case, the school, and then I just rename it. I've already done it here, so I renamed it DepRep 17. Okay. Deployment report from the section 17, and that goes into your little package. But you can, of course, if you print here, it will also, let's just cancel that for now. It should actually bring this report up on the screen. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing that now, but that's neither here nor there, because you will have the printout, which you have to print out anyway, stamp and sign. It looks like this, or as we can see on the screen already. Sorry, let's just look at it in OneNote anyway. As I say, there's things about lyrics deployment status here. Now, you can't have a lyrics deployment status at the moment because the alert servers still are not open, or if they are, I've not received notification from that. And they always normally send out notification as soon as the servers are open. And B, as I say, you're not actually submitting the data through SAMS, so the SAMS modules wouldn't have updated with that data. You're submitting your alerts through FrontOFFICE, obviously, for which I keep a separate tracking system and keep you updated with information. And this year we have things in place to make that actually far more frequent. It's gathering the snowballs gathering some more snow there, so we're looking good. Then what I do is we print this 2.9, which is the 2.9, which is these HR printouts, which is the employment and remuneration. And again, it's a printout like this, and I send it to OneNote, export it, and give it to you here. In this case, HR 29, I called it 2.9. And then, of course, the learner stats report, which was the 3.5.6.1, so 3.5.6.1, and again print it out so you can name, print it off, and sign it and stamp it. And that's basically the package you'll be getting. Hopefully that should suffice, as I say, especially those of you that are flagships, in a sense, that you'll be submitting first in line, so to speak. Maybe in fact helping wheedle out any issues for the rest of the schools. So once again, is your front office share community working in harmony with everyone. And yeah, as I say, so what I'll be doing is I put this little package together. So I basically grab this, I send it to zip, and I grab that and I right click and I send it to Skype, and I send it to my contact. Alright, in this case it's how I prep, and I find how I prep, H, so I can learn my alphabet, and I can send. I'm looking at it now because I've already done it. And then what I do is I just grab a little blurb that I've copied and pasted here, that I can copy and paste. I see a spelling mistake that I've already sent to people. Oops. And then I paste that in so that you kind of have a little explanation of what I've sent you and what you can do with it. And then, folks, don't forget your these documents that some people seem to have got, some didn't. They are in Dropbox in Department 2017 folder. And I'm not quite sure why they don't extrapolate this data from SAMS. I guess maybe they do in some cases where they're anticipating people not having it. They're expecting you to fill this in, but you did get one similar last year. It's your 2016 quarter 4, term 4 survey stats. So the template is there for you, and you can open FrontOFFICE and glean that information in there. And again, your 2017 stats summary sheet, which again, the information you can glean from FrontOFFICE if need be, if you want to be thorough. But as I say, I think that this data will actually be extrapolated from SAMS. It's all in there. And this says to be completed by all public and independent schools submitting by a third-party spreadsheet. Well, we're submitting by SAMS. So, I mean, in the case of the 2016 quarter 4 statistics, well, obviously we didn't enter information in SASAMS. It wasn't compulsory to submit via that format, so there wouldn't be a format for 2016, so you'd have to use that Word document. But in this case, I really do think that this information can be extrapolated from SAMS, but in any event it's fairly simple to glean this information from front office even. And then, yeah, there was just one other thing which I'm going to mention in the email tonight, and that was that the LOLT, which is the language of learner teaching, language of instruction basically, this is quite a funny one because I've been having a think about this. This is actually captured in front office at the moment per learner. You capture what that learner's language of instruction is. So if he goes to English school, you would say that his language of instruction is English. Now there's one in SAMS for educator as well, and we've discovered this, and we're adding the field in an update, and so the educator will be given a LOLT. Now some of you have already submitted data to us, so don't worry. We're going to you know, if it's an English school, we will capture English all the way down. Now the interesting scenarios is I actually think that it's incorrect to have a field of language of instruction assigned to a learner and a teacher. Like I said in the beginning, a school is a set of classes, and I think, and I believe that it actually makes a lot more sense to assign a language of instruction to a class, because then surrounding that class, you know what the language of instruction is for that class, whether the teacher or the learner is involved in that class, because you actually may have a teacher who in a dual medium school teaches, I mean, it's possible that can teach a, you know, mechanical class in English and in Afrikaans, let's say, or maths or whatever. So you can't really assign that value to an educator specifically if they're capable of doing both. I mean, I went to high school in Potch Boys High, and it was an English school, but believe me, my teachers were not always, in my mind, speaking English, certainly my history teacher. But and the same can be applied for the learner. I don't believe, actually, if technically speaking, again, we go back to my Potch Boys High example, you know, when I was in matric, well, even lower, I mean, standard 6 or standard 8, my teacher, my Afrikaans first language teacher, didn't speak a word of English to us. Absolutely not. So the language of instruction there surely is Afrikaans. In fact, if we spoke English, we got the old treatment. So, you know, again, if the language of instruction revolved around that class, then that would solve that problem. And you could argue that, you know, at lower levels, say in grade 2, if you're doing Afrikaans first language of instruction, or grade 4, if you're only starting first language, then again, you know, possibly most of the class is being taught in English. So again, it would make sense that it revolved around the class and not specific to the educator or the learner. However, it is what it is. SAMS and Lyrics do it that way. We're going to put the field in, so all of you capture it. It should be fairly self-explanatory information to capture. You know your academic staff, you know what language they teach in. This is really more specifically for your dual medium schools. We've got classes like Cat Maritz is a primary school I can think of, and George Campbell's a high school I can think of. And as I say, for those who have submitted already, don't worry. If you're in English school, we'll capture it down. And yeah, there is one other thing. I've added number of administrative computers to global settings. So please go and have a look at that and capture that. And again, we've made that default to 1 because, well, if you're running SAMS or front office, indeed, you need at least one admin computer. So, but go and capture that. And again, for the schools that we've captured already, we'll just pop you a little message on Skype to say what that number is, and we'll pop it in there. But we don't have that many on the plate at the moment, so most of you can still go and do it before you submit your data. If there's anything else, I will cover in emails and things. And we learn and grow together, folks. Good luck. See you next time. Bye.